Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our series, our class on the sacred bonds of marriage. A lot of you have questions all the time about marriage in Islam, and the sad reality is that we've become a nation of innovation. The true Islam is becoming abandoned, becoming forgotten, becoming lost. We're not following the Sunnah, even though we all claim that we are and think we are. Our marriages are more resembling the non-believers' ways of uniting instead of ours. And as a result of that, so many Muslim women and men find out that their marriages are not really valid. Either they didn't have a guardian, the girl's father was not her guardian, did not approve of the marriage or whatever, or there were no witnesses to the wedding or the marriage was, the witnesses were non-Muslim, or a man married a woman himself without appointing someone else as the imam, or all kind of crazy stuff happens. And the sad reality is there's no excuse for this, because Allah is not going to accept the excuse that you didn't know. The longer that Allah allows us to live on this earth, the more accountable we become. And when those angels of death come to pull our souls, they're going to ask you, why didn't you know that you were living as an adulterer for the past 30 years? Here you've been Muslim and Allah's given you a life. He's allowed you to live on this earth for 50 years and you did not know that your marriage was not valid. Didn't Allah say that seeking knowledge of this religion is an obligation upon all Muslims? You were living on this earth 50 years. And you didn't take the time to prioritize learning your deen. You went to college and got a college degree. You even worked in this dunya. You reached all the goals you wanted. You bought a house, you bought a car, you put your kids through school. You prioritized this dunya over Allah, and you didn't know that your marriage was not valid. So that's the type of conversations that we'll be having with those angels. And this is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, never forget the destroyer of pleasure, which is death. And I'm a person, I think about death a lot. And in fact, I used to be told when I was younger, when I was in high school, when I was in college, even my friend Latifa used to tell me, you're so morbid. You're so morbid, because I'm always talking about dying, always thinking about death. I mean, because, death can come at any moment. The more we think about death, then the harder we will strive to make sure that we are doing the things that we're supposed to do, and we're doing them correctly. That's why there's no procrastination in Islam either. And there's a lot of Muslims that suffer with that. You want to leave a woman hanging. Let me talk about that. We talk about marriage. How many of you brothers got women hanging right now? You say you're going to marry somebody and you got that poor girl hanging. You should have been married by now. It's been a year. It's been 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And she's not married to you yet? You keep coming up with excuse after excuse. I want to buy a house. I want to build a house. I want to finish school. I want to. And now you're committing sin. She's committing sins. You're committing sins because you procrastinated putting off something good and clean. Life is short, guys. You don't want to die in bad standing with Allah. So we have to follow Allah's laws, follow Allah's rules, do things the correct way. Okay? Dr. Jamali talked about divorce. 2 things that are easy in Islam, and that's why they're abused. Marriage and divorce. You never know what you're going to get. Get married. Okay, yeah, you find out that the person ain't right. You don't like her. She don't like you. So, end the story. Divorce. Divorce is good and clean. It's much gooder and cleaner than staying with somebody and ended up killing them. And on the other hand, marriage is good and clean. It's best to get married and find out rather than stay not married and fornicate, adulterate, and do all other kind of haram things. And you end up dying upon those sins. And you're going to be answering for that in your grave. We have to think, Muslims, marriage and divorce, the two things that are abused the most today, which the prophet said are signs of the last hour. That's why we have all these classes on marriage and divorce. But one thing about it, the simple fact that you guys are here learning means it's not too late to change, to make it right. Like we talked about in the class with Jamali, if you find out that your marriage is not legal, make it legal. You find out that you were not married in accordance to the Quran and Sunnah, separate immediately. You find out that you needed your father. You find out that you needed witnesses. Then you and your husband say, well, we're going to repent. Part of repentance is make the restitution. So I'm going to separate from you. Okay? We're going to separate. I'm going to my mother's. You stay here in the house with the kids. Okay? And we're going to make this right. We're going to go ahead and get married the right way. That's how you clean up that situation. I'm going to go ahead and talk to your father. And I'm going to have him as the guardian. Or I'm going to go and get 2 Muslim witnesses. I'm going to make a dowry. We separate and we make it right. We do go into make a new marriage contract. That's how you correct something wrong like that. So it's not too late. And also one thing that I can't encourage you sisters to do enough of, before you jump into the frying pan, learn what type of pan you jumping into. Learn the rules of how to fry. What does that mean? Learn the rules of marriage before you do it. Before you think about getting married, go and learn. Sit down. Find a person of knowledge that can teach you the fiqh of marriage. What's expected. And also the role of the wife, the role of a mother, the role of what your responsibilities are. We don't just jump and do something without knowing what comes with it. We have to seek the knowledge. That'll help prevent a lot of these problems too. Before we just jump into it, we learn about it. I wanted to get married when I was 12 years old. My mother wouldn't allow it, but I did get married at 14. Before I got married, I knew all the rules of marriage. I learned the whole fiqh of marriage, did a whole class on it. Oh yeah, when I was 12. Imam Latif Alameen. Yeah, they mosque came. Oh yeah. I did the fiqh of marriage for the women when I was 12. So I knew all about marriage. I knew what the role of a wife was, the role of a husband. I knew what came with it. I knew all about menses, babies, all that stuff at 12. So when I got married at 14, I knew what to do. I did my job as a wife. Hello, I was a good one. Oh yeah. Any husband I had to tell you, she was good. It's just I didn't put up with no dumb stuff. That's all. I knew my rights. The men I married, they didn't know theirs. That was the problem. I knew mine and theirs. You know me, Layla. Okay. But I did my job. I was a good wife. Took care of my main. Oh, yeah. Took care of my house. I didn't work when I was married at 14. I was a trophy wife. Then when I got married after that, I was a good wife. I worked and did my job. I don't think you can find any husband that's going to say anything bad about me because I was good. I really was. Okay? But, that's the problem. Girls today, Muslim kids today don't understand their religion. We just jump up into things and don't know what's expected of us. Well, that's why seeking knowledge is an obligation. And in this class, we've been studying marriage from the book written by one of my students, Brother Daryl Kirk, The Sacred Bonds of Marriage. This book can be purchased on Amazon. All of you listening to me need to get a copy of this book. Before any of you think about marriage, you need to buy this book. It's only $13 and read it from front to the end, and listen to my lectures, because this book breaks down, what constitutes a valid marriage contract, the rights of the wife, the rights of the husband, the rights of a woman, the rights of a man, the rights of children, all of that. It summarizes all of that and gives you an idea of what's expected. And the last time we met in this class, which was last weekend, we spoke about the rights of the wife. What are some of the rights of a wife that we spoke about the last time we met? Let's see. This is your quiz. What are some of the rights that you have as a wife? Who can tell me that we discussed so far? What did we talk about last week?
We have a right to be maintained and protected, fair treatment, and respect.
Exactly. It's your right to be provided for and maintained. What does that mean? Do I have to work? Who can answer that question? Can my husband make me go out and get a job?
No.
Do I have to work? Is it my job to pay the rent? Is it my job to pay the gas, the lights, to buy the food? Is that my job as a wife?
No, that's the man's job, because he's the protector and the provider.
Exactly. Exactly. What about this? What if I got married? Me and my husband, we got married and we was one of those silly people. We didn't know our rights. Now my husband ended up getting into a masjid. He ended up practicing his deen. And he comes home one day and tells me, I don't want you working anymore. I want you to quit your job. And I want you to come home and take care of these children. And take care of me. Do you have to listen? Do you have to quit your job?
Yep. Yes.
Yes, you do. Because that ain't your job to provide and maintain anyway. Oh, yeah. You should have learned your rights before you got married. Yes, your husband can tell you he doesn't want you working because that's his job. He can tell you that you need to come home. That's it. What about this? Before we got married, we agreed as part of our marriage contract. We agreed that I can work. Okay, so I'm working as a nurse. Nice job, good money. But I'm so tired with all that overtime. I don't cook. I don't clean. So my husband one day meets with me and he says, Layla, you're working so much. I want you to quit your job because you can't hold it down. I know we agreed that you could work as a nurse, but I'm sorry, the food ain't being cooked for the kids. The kids are eating pizza. I come home from work. I ain't got no meal. The house is dirty. The house is dirty. The children, I don't know what they doing. They watching sex on TV. You know, dance mom girls done grew up. JoJo, Maddie, they all LGBTQ. But they watching Maddie and them LGBTQ. So I don't want you working no more. And you say, but that was my contract. Who wins that debate, guys? You or him?
Him.
Exactly. No. He does. You have to quit. It doesn't matter if it was part of your contract or not, because it ain't your job to work and you are remiss. You've fallen remiss in your obligations. You're not taking care of your home. That's your job. Your children, you're cheating your kids out of what they deserve. Your husband, you're cheating him out of what he deserves. So yes, he can tell you quit that job. So again, we need to learn these things before we jump up into marriage. Contracts were made to be broken. Don't y'all know that? Who told you that because you agreed to a contract that it can't be broken? Oh, yes, it can. Oh, yes, it can. If you ain't doing what Allah commanded you to do, then the voluntary stuff don't matter. Like I tell you guys, even when it comes to fasting, prayers, and by the way, you women that have not made up your fast from Ramadan, you better get busy, okay? Your voluntary fast, your voluntary prayers are of no value if you're not performing the obligatory prayers and Ramadan, okay? Islam is a check and balance. So you sisters got to get it together. What about this? This is a new thing I'm hearing now. What about this? A man and a woman gets married. The wife refuses to cook and clean. She says, the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, used to help his wives around the house. So it ain't my job to cook and clean. That's your job. Is that true? Whose job is it to cook and clean the house? Whose job is it to cook the food for the family, clean the house, and all of that? Is that the man's job or the woman's?
The woman.
Exactly. That's the woman's job. I don't know where you sisters got that idea. I heard this is a big innovation going on. There's a lot of Muslim women that don't cook dinner for their husbands and children. Well, you know what? Your husband need to divorce you. You better be glad that you ain't married, that Laila Nasheeba ain't Brother Lail. You better be glad that this ain't Brother Lail, because Brother Lail would have kicked you out on the curb. You know, that picture I got on my Sunnahfollowers group page, that high heel shoe up right there, kicking that person out. Oh yeah, I'd have a boot. You be out on the curb. Okay? That's your job as a woman. Who told y'all this crap? Is this from the brothers in Texas? Are they the ones putting that garbage out, that lie out, that the woman doesn't have to cook or clean, that that's the job of the man? Who said that? That is not what Aisha said in that hadith. The Roman women asked her, can you tell us what type of husband was the prophet? They wanted to know about her husband. They said, what did he do at home? She said he used to help his wives. He would help with the cooking. He would help with the cleaning, even though he didn't have to. That's just how he was. To help us. He would sew his own clothes, mend his own shoes out of the kindness and the goodness of his heart, even though he didn't have to. What did the Prophet Muhammad say to the men? He said, the best amongst you are those who are good and kind to your wives, and I am better than all of y'all. Did Umar help his wives cook? Did Umar help his wives clean? Did Abu Bakr do that? No. Only the Prophet, because he was a messenger of Allah. He wasn't like any other regular man. Allah cleansed his heart, removed the evil from it, and gave him a Muslim jinn. He knew his wives were struggling, dealing with polygamy, number one, the jealousy. He was married to strong, beautiful women that came from noble backgrounds. Not any of the Prophet's wives were project women. Not any of the Prophet's wives were ghetto or peasants. They were noble women. They came from noble families. Aisha's father, Abu Bakr, was wealthy. Zainab, wealthy. Salama came from a wealthy family. These were women of nobility, of class and dignity. And one of the hardest things for a woman to do is share her husband, knowing that every other woman wants him too, knowing that he can have as many wives as he wants, knowing that women were coming and some of them were even throwing themselves at the Prophet. So the Prophet understood the nature of a woman, the jealousy, and they were all extremely beautiful. He didn't have no ugly wife. Okay? And they were all women of integrity. They were all women who were warriors, because they were Arabic women. They were warriors. So to make it easy for his wives, like he told the companions, I am the best of you. Ain't none of you good to your wives like I am. Ain't none of you gonna go home and help your wives cook and clean. Ain't none of you gonna sew your own clothes. Can't none of you read your wife's mind and tell when they're sad, when they're going through jealousy. I'm better than all of you. Try to learn from me. That's the meaning of that hadith. That's the Meccasidic meaning. Aisha radiallahu anha broke that hadith down. So where do you twisted women of 2024 get this idea that it's not your job to cook dinner for your family or clean your home? You women are trifling, and you're sad examples of females. And I don't even know how you got a husband. What kind of man was stupid enough to marry you? You better take you back to your father. Here, something wrong with her. She's damaged. Go find somebody else. Righteous men are for righteous women, not lazy, trifling women. You sisters better get that together. I want to know who told y'all that garbage. Is that them brothers down there in Texas? Y'all better stop learning Islam from these compassionate imams. Is that what they call them? Compassionate imams, progressive imams. These men, imams who are fighting for LGBTQ and feminism. Better learn your role. That's why you can't keep a man. Hello. Y'all better be lucky it ain't no Brother Leo. Brother Leo would be rough. Brother Leo would be like Umar, radiallahu anhu. Okay, so, that's our role. It's your job as a wife to cook and clean. If working is standing in the way of you fulfilling the obligations that Allah has given you, then you got to let that job go. It's your job to guard in your husband's absence what he would have you guard, which is his home, his children. That's your job, the upkeep of the house, making sure the bills get paid. That's your job. It's his job to go out and make the money. It's your job to fry it up in the pan. Okay? Don't get it twisted. Hashtag it. Well, that's the most ludicrous stuff I ever heard. A woman doesn't have to cook or clean. It's the man's job. Oh, really? Where's your dalil? Who told you that? How dare you take that authentic hadith and twist it around and Americanize it? How dare you Westernize, Americanize, and brutalize that hadith? And I'm a woman. Can't get no more feminine than me. Hello. I wrote the book on femininity. Hello. But I know my role. I know my lane. Learn your lane, sisters. And what about this? Is there a reason? Is there something that if a woman does, her husband doesn't have to pay her rent, buy her food, or buy her clothes? Can anybody remember that answer? What is it that if I don't do, my husband doesn't have to pay the rent for that month, or buy me no clothes, or pay none of my bills, none of that? Shows the check and balance in Islam. What is it? Who can remember, you sisters?
Sex in the bed.
If you reject his bed, if you reject his needs.
Exactly. If when you sisters want to be like that, you want to be westernized and Americanized. So you go sleep on the couch. You can go stay in the dog house. What they call it? The dog house. You go out in the garage and sleep. Oh no, I don't want you in my room. Oh no. Well, guess what, Miss Lily Americanized feminist? He can walk out that door and say, guess what? You figure out how you're going to pay your rent. Figure out where you're getting your food from. Figure out who's going to pay your credit cards. Figure out how you're going to get that car note paid. Because since you ain't giving me my rights, hello, I ain't got to provide for you. I ain't got to maintain you. Check and balance. Allah doesn't give too much power, nor does he give too much authority to anyone, because Allah is Akbar. Y'all understand that? The power, the authority is with him. And he wants us to remember that. Check and balance. So if you sisters are walking around doing the Western Kafir feminist move, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't have to. And guess what? If he makes me angry, he'll be on the couch tonight. Well, you know what? You got a good one. Because Brother Lael, oh yeah, if I had a twin brother, his name would be Brother Lael. Brother Lael wouldn't have that. He'd have you out on the curb. Hello. So you sisters got to get it together. This feminism. There's no need for feminism because Allah has elevated you. Allah has given us women rights that no other women have ever had. Women were treated like dirt until the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam received the call to prophethood. So this feminist movement and all this gender crap that you women or Muslim women are into, shame on you. And that's what we've been speaking about. And today we're going to go over more rights. And as we discussed, it's your right to be provided for, maintained. You don't have to work. It's not your job to worry about how to pay the bills. That's a lot of stress. It's your job to worry about your children. Your worry should be whether or not, if you send your kids to school tomorrow, if they're going to be attacked with the LGBTQ, that's your worry. Your worry is how to make sure that nobody's touching your child inappropriately. That's your concern. Your concern is, does my child know that he was created to worship Allah? That's where your stress should be. Not on, how are we going to pay the bills this month? Oh, I need a car. How am I going to get extra money? That's not our job as a woman. That's the man's job. And if he got to work 10 jobs, that's his business. He can handle it. Allah created men differently than us. They can handle the stress of life better than us. They were created for that. Their bodies are built for that. They don't have PMS like we do. Their emotions are under better control. They have a problem with their lust, but their other emotions are controlled. All right. So that's what we talked about. And so today we're going to break it down with other rights. We talked about how it's your husband's job to provide and maintain, but it goes a little deeper than that. And let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it on here. Okay. Hold on. I figured out my problem earlier today. Inshallah, you guys should be able to see the PowerPoint without any problem. There it is. See, I figured it out, guys. It was okay. So, and by the way, this is the book, Muslim Marriage and Family. The book is almost sold out. Amazon, by the way, guys, get this book. It's almost sold out. There's not that many copies left. I bet Brother Abdullah Kirk is kind of happy because thank God I'm teaching this book. His book is sold out. He's got a few copies left. It's almost sold out. Make sure y'all go to Amazon and get it. All the young kids, the girls and the boys need to have this book. It's only $13. Come on, guys. Pay more for that for Starbucks. Yeah, I spend $30 a day on Starbucks. Okay, seriously. Do the math. 30 times 30, do the math. That's how much I spend on Starbucks a month. I told y'all I'm opening up me inshallah, when I get my bills together, I'm opening up me a coffee shop. Oh yeah. My own Starbucks. It's a franchise. Layla's Starbucks. All right. Sell some baklava. I'll sell some baklava. Yeah, I'll sell baklava. All right. So this is chapter 10. What we're going to do today is continue with chapter 10 of the book, which goes into more detail about the rights of the wife. Let's take a look at it. Now, the last time we met, we talked about how it's the man's job. But when you get married, he has to be able to maintain you. So this is why we talked about the marriage contract, your guardian, your wali, your father, your brother, your cousin, whoever your uncle, whoever your guardian is, that's stuff that he would have worked out. The first thing he should have inquired from that man is he a practicing Muslim? And then after that, how much money you make? Because I make good money. I take care of my daughter. Can you take care of her the way I've cared for her? And he'll say yes, because it's his job to provide and maintain, but it comes with a kick. You have the right to your own accommodations. And let me emphasize this. Your own accommodations. Let me emphasize it again. Your own home. Allah says in the Quran, in the interpretation of the meaning, lodge them where you live according to your means. That means every woman has the right to her own accommodations. So this question was presented to Aisha, radiallahu anha. And what's the source? This is you'll find this in Bukhari and Muslim too. You got to go digging for it because you ain't no scholar of hadith, but it's there. Okay? Trust me. When the Roman women came and was asking her questions about the religion, because they had just converted to Islam and Muawiyah had sent them to her, but this is one of the questions that they asked because it wasn't part of the Roman culture. A lot of times the Roman men would marry women because they didn't have rights, and they would move them into their homes with their mother and make the women take care of their mothers, or they would put them in the same house with their concubines. Oh yeah, slaves. The Roman men would enslave women and have sex with them whenever they want to, and sometimes they throw the slaves in the house with their wives. Or they'd have all the wives in the same house, all their concubines in the same house. Well, Aisha, radiallahu anha, let the women know that's not the case in Islam. She said a man has to be able to accommodate a wife. Every wife is entitled to her own dwelling. And she quoted this verse. And so the Roman women asked her, how do you define her own accommodations? And Aisha then described her house and the accommodation of all the Prophet's wives. She said a dwelling should consist of a room where the woman can entertain, another room that she can sleep, and another area, a space. Let me put the English word space. Her accommodation should be a space that has enough room where one part of that space she can use for entertaining guests. Another space for sleeping, and another space for cooking. And that's her own accommodations. And then Aisha went on to explain her house. Remember, the Prophet's wives, they all lived in apartments. Their apartments were attached to the mosque. Aisha said, my home is big enough. Over there is my bedroom. Over there is my sitting area. And over there is where I do my cooking. So she has to have a place where she can be separate from the eyes of other people, where she can sleep, change clothes, entertain, and cook her food. in peace. That's accommodations. Does everybody understand that? No man, I repeat, no man, I repeat, no man can force a woman to move in with his mother or his co-wives or his concubines. That's not Islam. That may be called LDS, the Mormons, but that is not Islam. And you sisters do not allow ignorant, but that's why you have to have a guardian. A good guardian would never allow any man to marry you if he could not accommodate you. That's why you sisters got to follow the chain with guardianship. You don't fire your father, because ain't no man on this earth gonna love you unconditionally like your father. Your father's not gonna allow no man to marry you and put you in a house with another woman. That's not how the prophet did. That's a man that doesn't care. That's a man whose heart is hardened. You don't want to have your wives with other women that they can see you touching them, talking to them, cuddling them. They can hear you. What kind of stuff is that? This is that pimp mentality of the West, not the East. Because the companions didn't put their wives in the same houses either. This is some nonsense that these modern day Muslims do in America. They don't do that overseas either. But now the big problem we have overseas is in Pakistan and countries like that, Malaysia, where they'll marry girls or women and have moved the women in with their mothers and make their wives become servants to their mothers. That's a problem in those other countries. And that's wrong. This is your right to have your own separate accommodations. Nobody can make you move in and live with anyone. And you'd be stupid to give up your right and do that. Do you women understand that? I'm a strong woman. You can't get no stronger than Layla. But do you think that you can see me sharing my man and my house with other women with my man? My house? Oh, heck no, not here. I'm a job. Oh, no, I'd be done cut some heads off. That's my man. I don't see nobody touching him. You crazy? Or talking nice to him? I talk nice to him. Okay? So this is a right. As you can see, Islam liberated us. There's no need for feminism. Allah gave you rights. The Roman women didn't have this right. The Persian women didn't have these rights. Egyptian women didn't have these rights. Okay? And also another right that you have is to be treated fairly. What does that mean? That means he can't show favoritism over you. And if he's got other wives, he has to treat you all fairly, publicly. We can't go to the mosque and you're holding her hand and you're giving her the attention, but you treating me like I don't exist. Oh no. Every wife has the right to be treated fairly, publicly, and also fair in the amount of time, meaning the nights. The day belongs to the man. Your husband can do what he wants in the day, but the night belongs to the wives. And he can't spend more nights with one. If he's going to give me 3 nights, he has to give every other wife 3 nights too, unless we decide something else. Does everybody understand that? So when we talk about the right to be treated fairly, it means 2 things. It means that he cannot prefer favor his nights over one wife over you. And the second is publicly. You have to treat us all the same publicly, like the prophet did. He treated all his wives the same publicly. Even though Aisha, radiallahu anha, was his favorite, what did Salama say? Salama, she said Aisha was his favorite, but None of us ever felt unloved. All of us, all his wives, we all felt special. We all felt loved. We all felt needed and cared for. Aisha just used to boast about it all the time. She was a young girl. Young girls do that. I'm his favorite. So he treats us good too. So that's what's meant by that. Okay? And again, another right that you have is for your husband to be kind to you. What does that mean? He should have a good attitude towards you. He shouldn't be calling you the B word. He shouldn't be cussing you out. He shouldn't be yelling at you. He shouldn't be calling you stupid. He shouldn't be telling you that you're worthless. This is abuse verbally. Okay? Listen to what Allah says and the interpretation of the meaning, and live with them in honor. Live with them in respect. And that's also a right he has over you too. Just like your husband cannot call you the B word, can't call you stupid, can't treat you like that, you can't do the same to him either. And we're going to talk about his rights in the next class. But we're supposed to live together as partners in respect and honor. What did Dr. Jamali tell you guys yesterday when he broke down that verse of the Quran? When we get married, you're part of each other. Your husband goes inside you. You're inside him. That's intimate. That's something sacred for us to be inside one another. This is sacred. And because of that intimacy, we're supposed to live together honorably, respectfully. Don't yell at your husband. Don't cuss him out. Don't call him MF. And you brothers, you're not supposed to yell at your wives or cuss them out or hit them or call them the B word or none of that. That's grounds for a divorce too, guys. If any of you are living in verbal or physical abuse, that's grounds to get up out of there. Get out of that situation. Remember, Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, the women have rights over their husbands in regards to their living expenses, just as their husbands have rights over them. Your husband is to be obeyed and respected. Obeyed and respected. Respect is in everything. And we're supposed to obey them in everything that Allah commanded us to obey them in. Okay? If my husband told me to jump off a bridge, I don't obey him in that. If my husband told me that I can't wear a hijab, I don't obey him in that either. But if my husband tells me that I can't have my mother over here because every time my mother comes around, she talks about him badly and she turns me against him, then guess what? My mother can't come over. Sorry. Okay? So we're supposed to live together in respect and honor. And our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an example of that. Like he told the male companions, I am better than all of you. I do things with my wives that none of y'all would even think to do. Like I said, one wouldn't find Umar cooking, helping his wives cook, helping his wives clean. Okay. And again, just an example here that the brother gave of how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew each of his wives. And he gave each of his wives what was special for them. Aisha was the youngest. She was a kid. And he noticed she liked to watch plays and stuff like that. People dance with their spears. So he would allow Aisha to watch the performers. When the Abyssinians would come into town with their circus, he would let her watch that. Just like he know that Salama, she loved war. She was a warrior. That was Khalid bin Walid's cousin. Salama was a warrior. She knew how to work a sword. work a bow and arrow just like Khalid bin Walid. So the prophet noticed she loved a war and battle stuff. So he would, spend time with her talking about strategies of the battle on the battlefield that he could use. And he took her with him as his advisor. And out of all the wives the prophet had, the only one that knew how to read was Hafsa. How many of you knew that? Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, could not read or write. None of the wives could, except for Hafsa. So when the prophet would meet with Hafsa, what would he do? He'd say, Hafsa, read to me. Read to me that verse of the Quran that Allah revealed, because she would write down the verses. She would write down the verses of the Quran as they were revealed. So she would read to the prophet because she knew how to read. Each wife was special. Sauda was the anchor of the whole tribe. All the kids loved Sauda. Sauda would spoil the kids. Sauda liked to cook. Sauda liked to make toys for the kids. So all the people would gather at Sauda's house. And the prophet would tease Sauda. He would play with Sauda. So every wife, had something unique to them. And he knew what each wife liked. And he catered to them all. And this is just one example, how he catered to Aisha. He was aware of her youthfulness and catered to her like he did Salama and her war strategy, Hafsa, and how she could read and write and all of that. Okay? He talked to all his wives. Zainab, may Allah be pleased with her. She was his first cousin. Zainab looked like the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For those of you who don't know, she was his first cousin. She looked a lot like him. That's why Aisha was so jealous of her, because Zainab was beautiful. She looked just like the Prophet. They were first cousins. And also Zainab was a noble woman. She had class. She liked silk. She's the one that used to love, her favorite color was green. She would wear the most beautiful green silk garments. And she had the same taste as the Prophet when it came to food, because they were first cousins. So he would go to Zainab and they would eat honey together. Zainab was able to get honey because she come from a noble background. Honey was expensive, and her and the Prophet would eat honey together and talk about things. They had a lot in common because they were first cousins. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed kindness, love, respect, and understanding to all his wives, not just Aisha. People talk about Aisha a lot because they don't know the hadiths. But see, I know the hadiths. I know his relationship with every one of those women, including Maria the Copt, who was not even his wife. She was his right-hand possession. And he loved to talk about Abraham and Hajar to her, because Hajar was a Copt, an Egyptian Copt. Those are the original Egyptians, by the way. I'm a Copt too. And Maria viewed herself to be his Hajar. He used to tell Maria, I am your Abraham and you are my Hajar. He had a special relationship with every wife. It's just that you guys don't know the hadiths because y'all ain't learned the religion from the proper people. All you know is Aisha playing with the spear. Aisha racing him. Oh, God. He did such beautiful things with the other wives too. Sophia, may Allah be pleased with her. She was the daughter of Aaron. She was a descendant of Moses. He would love to lay with Sophia. Sophia was beautiful too. She'd lay on his lap and she'd say, "Oh, Prophet of Allah, tell me, what did Allah say about my uncle Aaron? Tell me, oh Prophet, what did Allah say about my uncle Moses?" He had a special relationship with every wife. Do you see these brothers today doing that? Everybody wants to do polygamy. How many of you brothers have that special relationship with all your wives? Do you make all your wives feel special? Or do you put some on the back burner? How many of you brothers got wives on the back burner, feeling like they don't count? You should have that special relationship with everyone like he had. And he had more wives than you. Plus he had right-hand possessions. You ain't got nothing but 2 or 3, 4 at the most. So it wasn't just Aisha. She's just the one that they talk about a lot. Beautiful stories of his relationship with all his other wives, especially Maria, who was not his wife. Okay. Lastly, every wife has the right to not be abused by her husbands. This is not Islam. This is a misconception that people have, that men in Islam beat up their women. Nope, I don't know what, maybe the men today do. Arab women weren't like that. Arab women were warriors. What did Umar say? He said, "O Prophet of Allah," after the Battle of Badr, when Allah sent down the verses of the Quran, no, before the Battle of Badr, when Allah sent down the verses of Quran telling the men the rights that the women have on them, what did Umar say? What's the source? Bukhari. Umar went to the Prophet. He said, "O Prophet of Allah, now our wives won't have sex with us. Our wives are not cooking for us. And some of them are fighting us." Oh, Arab women fight. They ain't gonna sit around and let no man beat up on them. They gonna fight back. The female companions fought back. Okay? Allah sent down verses saying, these verses here saying we have to live together in peace, in respect, in honor. And Islam condemns any form of harm or abuse. Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. He said there should be no harming or reciprocating of harm. And what does that mean? The Arab women fought back, guys. They didn't let no man beat them up. Them women are crazy. I'm an Arab woman. I'm crazy. Can y'all see some man beating me up? I'll die taking you out. I'll die trying. Get no man beat up on Layla. Okay? But I ain't gonna give him no reason to either. I'm not gonna give no man a reason to hit me because I know my job. When he comes around me, I'm gonna make him feel like he's the most special creature on this earth, because he is. I'm gonna satisfy him in every way that I can because that's my job. And I know he'll do reciprocate for me. But if he put his hands on me, oh, jihad. Okay? So that's what's meant by reciprocating, because the women would reciprocate it. You gotta be mean to me, tick for tack. That's called tick-tacking. Because your husband did this, you're gonna do that. Because he won't do this, you're not gonna do that. So the Prophet said there should be no abuse like that. Don't go around harming each other or tick-tacking each other. Live together in peace, in love, tranquility. As Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, "Oh, you who believe, you are forbidden to take women against their will." Remember, we talked about that today. After the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, what's the first thing that happened? What's the first thing that happened? People started calling themselves prophets and apostating from Islam. They went back to their tribalism of taking women against their will, forcing women to marry them, raping women, like you saw with the story of Azwad. Okay? This is another example as to how Allah gave us rights that no other women had. The Roman women were inherited against their will. The Greek women against their will. Egyptian women against their will. They were even forced to marry their brothers if they came from royal families. European women against their will. They were forced to marry their brother and fathers too. to keep the royal line going. Well, we don't have that crap in Islam. Okay? So women should not be subjected to any form of harm or distress. That is your right as a woman. If a man is harming you verbally or physically, you have a right to declare a divorce with him. Remember, here's the hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best of you are those who are best to their wives, and I am the best of you to my wives. I do for my wives what none of you would do for yours. He knew every wife's weakness. He knew every wife's strength. He knew what made each wife tick, what made them sad. And he took care of them. He accommodated them. What a man. What a man, what a man, what a man. Wow. Y'all see that? That's the man I need. All right. Also, Allah says in the interpretation of meaning, and live with them in kindness, because perhaps if you see something in them that you dislike, look again and you will see something that Allah brings good from. It's easy for us as human beings to point out the bad things. It's hard to look beneath that and see the good in it. Oh yeah, she may not can cook good, but Lord, she can clean. She may not know how to sew, but she got your back. When you come home from work stressed out, she's right there with your slippers in her hand to make you comfortable. She massages your neck and she cooks the food that you like the most. So perhaps you see something that outweighs that which is bad. You just got to look and stop focusing on the negativity. Because remember, as Dr. Jamali talked about in his lecture yesterday, Shaitan, our personal jinn, he wants to destroy your marriage. He hovers around in your heart. He's going to make you focus on the things that you don't like about your husband or that you don't like about your wife. You have to disregard him and look beneath that and see the good. Again, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, said, the Prophet Muhammad never beat any of his servants. He never laid a hand on any of his servants. He never laid a hand on any of his wives. He never laid a hand on any of the children. He never hit anything. The Prophet didn't hit his wives. There's a fabricated lie against Aisha. There's a fabricated hadith that says the Prophet hit Aisha with a mishwak, or that the Prophet said if you got to hit your wife, hit her with a mishwak. That's a lie. The Prophet never, here's the hadith to throw that out. The Prophet never hit anything. He didn't hit none of his wives with anything, not a mishwak, not their hand, not a straw, not any of that. What that person that made that lie up did, he got it twisted. He twisted the story of Job. Job, alayhi salam, when he got angry at his wife, he swore that he would give her 80 lashes. When Allah restored his health, he had to honor the oath. So what did he do? He went and got some straw and he hit her lightly 80 times with some straw so as not to hurt her. But that's not our Prophet Muhammad. That's the story of Job. Okay? He never hit any of the children, any of the wives, or any of his servants. So physical abuse or verbal abuse is not part of our way of life, guys. Again, here's more dalil. What's the source? Bukhari. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, none of you should hit your wife as you would beat a slave and then have sexual intercourse with her. in the last part of the day, because this is something else the Arabs used to do before Islam. And not just the Arabs, the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Persians, the Europeans, because women had no value. They would beat their wives and cuss them out and then rape them and then leave the women laying there. Women were nothing. But Prophet said, this is Islam now. Women have rights. You're not going to sit there and abuse your wife and then have sex with her like she's nothing, making her feel worthless, making her feel that she's nothing. Okay? So being harsh or mean, disrespectful to a woman, this is not accepted in Islam, despite what the kafirs say. And again, physical abuse causes a lot of damage. Not only does it cause damage physically, but look at the emotional abuse too. This is why we have a high divorce rate today, because Muslims are getting married today and they're not upholding the laws of Islam, the rights of each other. The genders have become blurred. Women are trying to be men. Men want to be like the women. So everything is blurred. So this is why we have a high divorce rate. Women are messed up emotionally. I call them broken. We got a lot of broken women. But guess what, sisters? There's a lot of broken men too. There's a lot of men out there who have been broken by women. Women have cheated on them. Women have lied to them. Women have cussed them out. Women have not had their back. So when these brothers do meet a righteous woman who can be good to him, he's broken. He's afraid to marry. Seriously, there's brothers that are afraid to get married. So they keep putting it off. I'll marry you, but I'm afraid. What are you afraid of, Aki? I'm afraid that you're going to change. What do you mean? I'm afraid that once you marry me, after 2 weeks, you're not going to want me anymore. You're going to say that I'm nothing, that I'm ugly. You're not going to find me attractive. How many of you sisters that know men like that? Those are broken men. Those are men who are good men who have been broken by some twisted, crazy woman. You got broken women and broken men. Why? Because we've deviated and blurred the lines when it comes to our rights and roles as Muslim women and men. Okay? So, what are the rights that a wife has? Let's summarize them. Number one, before marriage, you have the right to a dowry. Number two, after marriage, the right to be provided for and maintained. It ain't your job to work. It ain't your job to pay the bills. Number three, the right to your own home. Can't nobody make you move in with their mama, their wife, their dog, or any of that other stuff. If he can't give you your own separate accommodations, he shouldn't be marrying you. Also, the right to be treated fairly. If you're marrying into a polygamous situation, he has to give you the same nights he give the others. And when y'all go out the house publicly, he has to treat you with the same respect and honor that he treats them. And you have the right to be treated kindly in the home too, to not be cursed out, to not be spit on, to not be abused. And that abuse means not physically nor verbally. So these are the rights that we have as women. And the next time we meet for this class, because again, Islam is balanced. Allah is an equal opportunist. Allah doesn't give more rights and power to one gender over another. Just like we women have all these beautiful rights, men got rights too. And we're going to go over the rights of the men next week. So I'm going to stop right here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Are there any questions or comments?
Can you show that last page again?
God, she just woke up.
You didn't say that smart, did you, Sister Layla?
Let me find it. Okay, hold on. This one here. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. That's it. Wait, let me make it. Why is this thing in the way? How do? Okay. Did it show?
I got it.
Oh, you took it? Oh, okay. Because something happened. It didn't stop. Oh, okay, you got it though? Yeah. Y'all got that one? Yeah. You getting ready to get married? Who you marrying, Tiba? That's my best friend. What she tell me? Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying to get married.
But you need to know your rights.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, me and Latifah were trophy wives. I got married at 14. She got married at 18. We were trophy wives. We come a long way. Except she got about 50,000 grandkids, and oh my God, they all are beautiful and look like her and him. I can't believe they weren't together that long, but all their kids, them grandkids, they look like both of them. It's just weird. And I saw my babies getting dressed for school. Their first day of school, Tiba.
Mm-hmm.
They look so good. They look like you. But except the boy, he looked like Abbott. He looks like he had that Abbott look, that Imani Abbott look, but the girl looked just like you.
Yeah, well, those Imani's grandchildren.
I know. That's why I said, I looked at him, I said, girl, if he don't look like Abbott. Okay, here's a question here. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong mouse. I'm sorry. Switch the mouse around. What if a woman is like high maintenance or used to live in a certain lifestyle? Then you would, why would you enter? Water seeks its own level. Why would you marry a man that can't accommodate you? That's the thing. That's why you have to have a guardian. If you had a guardian, your guardian is not going to let you let no man approach him for marriage and knowing that he's a bum. Let me give an example. My brothers, I'm high maintenance. Oh, yeah. I'm a high maintenance chick. Oh, yeah. Flip a credit card, keep it moving. Hello. You only live once. Can you see some man that works at Mickey D's coming to my brother, asking any of my brothers, can I marry your sister? Girl, please. My brother said, y'all better jump back. Why would you marry a man that can't accommodate you? That's the first thing that your guardian, the second thing your guardian should have looked at is whether or not he could afford you. First is religion. Then after that, he should have seen what type of job you got. Man, you work at McDonald's. You ain't even got a job. No, you can't marry my daughter, my sister. No. Now, if he was an engineer, that's different. How much you make? Okay, you make $100,000 a year. Okay, you can marry her. What's how much you make? You only make $10,000. You better bounce. So that's your fault. Why would you marry a man like that? Water seeks its own level. Okay, water seeks its own level, and that's one of the reasons why one of the sisters here is asking me about Zainab. May Allah be pleased with her. That's why Zainab's marriage to Zayd didn't work out. Zainab was a high maintenance woman. Zainab was high class. Zayd was an ex-slave. Zayd was not on her level. They couldn't stand each other. They got married for the sake of Allah to show that there is no status quo in Islam. But once they married, it was horrible. They were miserable. They could not stand each other. So finally, the Prophet divorced them. So that's important. Why would you marry someone that's not on your level? You know, your guardian should object to that. And Allah knows best. Yeah. Any other questions? Sister Miss Jackson, why would you change your lifestyle if that's what you're accustomed to? I mean, if you want to change, you can. I ain't changing mine. Why would you want to do that? Who said that I got to move? I got to become a project girl. I don't want to live in no projects. I don't want to live in no hood. I'm sorry. I drive a Toyota, a 2023 Toyota, and getting ready to get another one. Why should I give up my Toyota RAV just to ride in a Volkswagen Bug? Are you crazy? Who said I got to do that? No, it ain't better. It's better for her to find a man on her level. It's better for her to have a guardian that has her interests at heart, because your guardian ain't going to allow you to marry beneath you. I mean, let's just get real, guys. And by the way, that's one of the struggles that the prophet had with his wives. All his wives were good women, but they all came from money. All of the prophet's wives came from money. And when he met, before he married each one, he told them, I'm letting you know that if you marry me, this was his contract. Not that many Muslims know this. The Prophet Muhammad's contract was this with every wife. He said, I want you to know that if you agree to marry me, you're giving up this dunya. That means you're giving up luxury. He said, I am a messenger of Allah. I have to set an example for the people. So I am not going to give you a nice lifestyle. I am not going to give you the wealth and money that you're accustomed to. Are you willing to give that up? All his wives chose to give it up. Okay? So that's important. Why would I, that's not your nature. That leads to most divorces. Most divorces are because of money. What's the number one reason for divorce? Money. Money. I like steak and lamb. I got to stop eating steak and lamb and start eating hamburgers. Are you crazy? And hot dogs? I'm sorry. I like kosher hot dogs. Hebrew National. I got to give up Hebrew National and go buy chicken hot dogs. Are you crazy? No. I like Bath and Body Works. I take a shower with Bath and Body. You want me to give up my Bath and Body and use Dove soap? Are you crazy? No. Who said I have to do that? No. Marry somebody on your level, sister. Everybody understand that? The prophet's wives were different. He said you could either marry me and have it all in paradise and be mothers of the believers, or you can have the life of this world. They chose to give up this world for the hereafter. But there are no other prophets. Okay, I'd have made the sacrifice for him too, but not for nobody else. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? By the way, Bath and Body Works got a sale going on. So does Goose Creek. Goose Creek got a sale, and Kringle. All three of them got sales, y'all. Kringle, Goose Creek, and Bath and Body. Yeah. The sisters, they all competing with each other. All right, any other questions or comments? Yes, tomorrow is Monday. So what do I have? I have the 6 o'clock class tomorrow. And yes, how to pray. Yeah, that's tomorrow. Yes, I'm going to do that. The brother is asking me, am I going to show pictures again? Yeah. Have y'all been doing y'all homework, looking outside at the sky? Yeah, I'll put some more pictures up of the different times of the day. Yeah, we have to do it. We have to work, both women and men. We all have to work. Because like I said, this is a big thing that I heard is going on. The brothers of the Dawah shared with me. Women think that they don't have to cook. They don't have to clean, that it's the husband's job. Who the heck told them that? Boy, and we want to know why Allah is punishing us as a nation. Why you sisters can't keep a husband? Y'all ain't doing y'all job, cooking and cleaning. Are y'all crazy? It's COVID out there. You got to clean the house up, women. It's COVID out there. COVID is real. Look how many people have died from it and still dying. All right. Okay, let's see what's this here. Yeah, you didn't know what your rights are? Wait a minute, what's this? Oh, okay, Miss Jackson, are you asking, like, say, for example, okay, you asked me the question about the woman, high maintenance. I gave you the answer based on a person who is getting married, who's not married. Okay, let me answer that question a different way now. If it's a woman that's been married, you've been married, you come from a different lifestyle, he comes from a different lifestyle, y'all got married, you didn't know nothing about Islam and its rights. Okay, what do you do in that case? The answer is going to be different. You try to work together. You two try to compromise, Miss Jackson. A good man is hard to find. If you're married to a man who works, he takes care of you, takes care of the kids. He doesn't abuse you. He doesn't abuse the children. He goes to the mosque and do his prayers. He treats you with respect. Then try to, compromise for him. Because it's hard to find a good man. Okay, it's hard. Why do y'all think Laila Nasheeba's single? Girl, if I could find me a man like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, make me feel like I'm all that in a bag of chips. Yeah, so it's different. If you sisters are new to Islam and you realize, you got a good husband, try to make it work. Divorce should be the last thing. Try to compromise, find some type of even ground together. But I was answering based on people that are not married yet. Look for men that can take care of you the way your father did. Even Allah says that in the Quran. Look for men who can provide for you. Marry those who are most able, most capable, most fit. Even Allah says that. A man that can accommodate you according to your means. That's what that verse means. When Allah says in the Quran, marry those who can accommodate you according to your means. What your father did, how your father cared for you. That's what you look for. Otherwise, it's going to be problems because different sides of the track. Like Zainab and Zayd. Both of them were eminent, good companions, but different sides of the track. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? I hope that makes it easier, Miss Jackson. Yeah. Yeah. If you got a good husband, just, make it work. Make it work. End up like Layla, by yourself forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Yeah. All right. So inshallah, I'm going to close out for tonight, guys. And inshallah, end up like Layla. Yeah. By yourself. Got a good man. Y'all better hold on to him. Bad man, kick him to the curb. All right. So yeah, next tomorrow is 6:30. My diluting wella wa better. And then at 9:30, how to pray. And we're going to go over the e-comment. Yes, the brothers are asking me about the e-comment. Yes, I'm going to go over the e-comment tomorrow with you guys, inshallah. All right, I want to thank everybody for joining. I hope this lecture was a benefit to you, sisters. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Everybody have a good night, inshallah.